What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Trading Wars. Thanks for joining me today. Today is a very special stream. We have our brother GAA Options in here. He's going to be helping us learn more about trigger trading. We're going to be talking about some tips from him as well. And first and foremost, as we always do, let's go over to the Twitter and let's let everybody know we're live, and let's try to entice some of our friends to get over here. My brother GAA Options, why don't you say hi to the people?
What's going on, everyone? Thank you, Trading Wars. Thank you, Richard, for having me on here. I'm looking forward to diving deep with this.
Perfect. Okay, so I checked the audio. We're good to go. So we usually the way I normally get people to pile in here is I normally offer something for free, normally like cookies and stuff like that. So let's see what we today I'm going to be doing. Let's think. Come now for I think tacos. A lot of people I know have been asking me for some free tacos, so we're gonna push that out right now. Let's get some people up in here, and then before we get started, why don't you guys in the chat let us know where you're I know I'm early, okay? I'm always early, and I'm sorry if I start a little bit too early for you guys, but let me know where you're tuning in from tonight. I'm gonna throw your names up on the screen, and then we're gonna get right into the meat and potatoes of our stream tonight. So I see we already have one person right here. Sovita or Sovotia. Sorry, I know I butchered your name there. So good morning from Cambodia. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you. We have Sylvia from Miami, John from Tennessee, Buns from New York, Catching Rockets from South California. So I guess, brother, you're from California as well, right? You're from the West Coast?
Yes, sir. SoCal as well.
Perfect. All right. So the South Cal connection right there, guys. FRK from that's Frank from Portland, Yusuf or Yus from North Texas, Umin from Disneyland. Well, that's a good place to be at. Nomeen Rashid from West Palm Beach. Well, a lot of people from Florida in here, man. That's awesome. Slim Crazy from Arizona, baby, here to learn. Boom. Welcome, brother. And then let's do one more. So here we go. Unbutton Heel Health and Fitness. There we go, from Ireland. All right, brother. Thanks for being here, guys. So again, super excited. As you guys know, I normally have the donation button on there, the tipping button. And I was just talking to our brother here. Whatever proceeds you guys donate here from this stream, I'm going to be making a contribution to, actually, brother, why don't you talk about what you're doing in your Discord for the for charity, and then I'll chime in.
Right. So a couple members from my server went ahead and came up with the idea of making a little end of year donation to charity, just because Mark has been really kind to us over the past two years or so. You know, we've been making great profits across the board. All investors that are properly trading have made a killing. So
Yep.
A couple members came forth and said, why don't we make a little donation at the end of the year? So we're going to go ahead and pick 3 charities of member choices. Whatever proceeds, whatever donations are collected by the end of the year, I'm going to go ahead and match it. And we're going to go ahead and change some lives, like you always say, Richard.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. So whatever we get here from this stream, I'll match it, and we'll send it over to our brother for whichever charity they decide at the end of the year. Guys, you know, it's really important to give back, especially people that are struggling out there. We're very blessed, and we should be grateful every single day we wake up. We have food, we have water, we have the ability to go chase our dreams and do what we need to do. And some people don't have that opportunity. And you guys know how I feel about kids. A lot of kids they don't have the right environment in order for them to succeed. So I'm not sure if you know, brother, but one thing that I'm planning to do in the future, I'm going to open my own charity, and I'm going to take whatever money from that I raise and also the money that I contribute, and I'm planning to open up a youth enrichment center somewhere where it's going to be teaching kids how to trade at a young age, like 12, 13 years old. Yep, they can learn what inside bars are. They can learn about the trigger method, teaching them how to be fishermen at a very young age.
Wow. Honestly, Richard, I got goosebumps with you saying that. That is huge beyond beliefs. I can't wait to make a contribution to that myself.
Thank you, brother. All right. So we're going to be talking about trigger trading. Trigger trading is probably the most popular, I would say, on Twitter, which essentially is kind of, we got Leah in here. Let's put Leah up here. Leah is one of my mods. She's not always able to attend. So, hey, Leah, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Yeah, so trigger trading is probably one of the most popular methods of trading in general. It's basically taking breakouts, and break above levels, break below levels, etc. And we're going to be drilling into that and talking more about that. But first, I want to start off and do a little bit of an interview here. So my brother, what really got you into trading? Like, how long have you been doing this? What inspired you to go on this journey?
Well, so originally I had no formal education in finances, the stock market, nothing. Um, I went to university in a chemistry major, uh, and it was kind of the path that my parents chose for me, and you know the deal. You
Yeah.
either got to become a doctor or a lawyer, yada yada, all that stuff.
Yeah.
While doing this, of course, this wasn't my passion. I wasn't happy with it. So my performance in the university was inadequate, to say the least. And that's when I discovered the stock market while going to university. And I realized that, hey, maybe this is something that I would like to do for the rest of my life. And it wasn't until, a few months into trading that's when the realization came. So for me personally, it was a matter of no other option, or let's say
Yeah.
last resort type of thing. So it was just for me, it was just a type of go get it and don't look back type of thing.
Understood. Understood. So actually, we got a big donation in here. Let's shout this brother out right here. Catching rockets with the 50 big ones. If you want to succeed in stocks, options, sub to GAA and trading wars, both fire. Let's get the charity going. So boom. Thank you very much, brother. Catching rockets. We really, really appreciate that.
Appreciate that, catching rockets, man.
All right. So yeah, bro. And one thing that I wanted to touch on a little bit about your story there is that sometimes you got to sink or swim. You gotta get if your back is up against the wall, that brings out the best in you. So would you say that you kind of felt that if you didn't make it in trading, that was pretty much your last chance in order to do something that you wanted to do? Did you feel a lot of pressure at the beginning, and how did you deal with that? Because I know a lot of traders are under a large amounts of pressure. So I guess how did you go through that phase in your life?
Well, actually, I'll be completely honest with you, my man. There was a point where I was trading and I was losing weeks after weeks after weeks because I didn't know how to trade. I originally went into options, the same reason everyone goes into options. You
Hmm.
want to make a large amount of money in the shortest amount of time possible.
Yes.
So I would just half-ass, excuse my language, half-ass go ahead and buy calls on indexes and puts on other names. It was just there was no technical analysis, there was no fundamental analysis, there was nothing.
Hmm.
So I just kept losing and losing. And I remember about, let's say, I think it was about 7 months in or so, I lost about 6,000 out of my $10,000 savings. I don't come from a wealthy background, so that money was huge to me. And I remember sitting next to my girlfriend, and I swear to you, crying because I didn't know if I could pay off my debt, for my credit cards, for my student loans, all that stuff. And while I was moping around, I knew that this, if I didn't make it here, it was done for me.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a just keep going at it. There were so many times I wanted to quit, so many times. I just kept going lower and lower and lower in the mindset, in the mentality, in the emotion aspect. But I knew that with consistency, with perseverance, that I will make it out. And that's really a life lesson for anything out there in life. Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing that's rewarding comes easy. You really have to be persistent in the face of lost hope in order to get to that diamond.
Wow. And I'm pretty sure not a lot of people know, that about your story. And I guess I'm very similar as well. I lost $25,000 right off the bat trading, mostly through options actually. And I actually did not want to trade options anymore at all. I gave up on it a long time ago, but it's only recently like, if you look at my swing trading room, I've mostly been doing shares. It's only recently in the last few months that I came back to the option game, and I've been doing really well because this time I actually know what I'm doing. I remember when I first started it, I was just turning on the news or listening to what other people are saying, and it was just crazy. So I guess what was the main thing you could tell someone that's currently in that situation you're in about the perseverance and the consistency? What was that that change that happened to you for you to start to become profitable? Was it like back testing, like a different strategy you learned, or was it just sticking with it? Was it risk management? What was that that thing that put you over to where you are right now?
I would say the number one thing that got me over that hurdle is I wouldn't say creating, but adapting my own trading style. I used to trade based off of what I see of other, popular FinTwit traders, and I would try to mimic their trades, and it would always bite me in the ass, just because these traders
Mhm.
have been trading for such a large amount of time, and they're familiar with their trading style, so they can manage their risk appropriately based off of their entries. However, I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until later I discovered people like PDX options, the equilibrium trading, that I was able to see, oh, I like that aspect of PDX options. I like moving averages on
Mhm.
shorter time frames. The equilibrium trader, he has very tight stop losses. So I took that aspect of it, and I just kind of took a little bit from every FinTwit trader that I liked and developed a trading style that allowed me to trade around my emotions, because at the end of the day, I can't sit here and tell you that my emotions are perfect in a trade. No way, no way. I
Yeah.
recognize my weaknesses and I just play around them is all.
Got it. Got it. Wow. So that's very, very important. Let me just write down on this chart right here, guys. It's recognizing. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. No, I'm not. So let me just get that spell check there. Recognizing your mistakes. That's really, really important. That's very, as an experienced trader, someone like yourself that's doing really well, it's not that you're perfect, right? It's not that you're like some amazing robot and you know everything and you're right 100% of the time. It's really trying to limit your mistakes and trying to find ways to deal with the demons that we have as traders. We all have demons. We all have FOMO. We all have greed, right? And when you can have tools that help you deal with it, that really could take you over the hump. So thank you so much, brother, for sharing that. And some of the guys you mentioned there, I know they do great work for the community. And as that's the whole point of this, is to find people that are really helping. And one thing that I wanted to say, brother, is that you also mentioned that you were kind of like quieting the noise out there because everybody has their own strategy, everybody's doing their own thing. And I want to say something really honestly. A lot of people are some people are honest, and they're telling the truth, etc. But there are some people on social media that are just lying, and they're giving unrealistic expectations for traders, and they're setting a bad environment and community with false expectations. And that's why it's important to me to bring real traders that are really trading their capital, that are really, making money like yourself, and sharing that with the community. So thank you there. Thank you so much, brother, for sharing that. And then what I want to get into next is so you're trading these days. Is it I know it's a mixture of swing and day trades, but what would you say, like, what's a percentage of swings versus day, or do you ever take day trades and make them into swings? Let's give us some background on that. And before we get into that, let's shout out Andrea right here. Boom. $10 from Andrea, just making a list of all my mistakes today. Beautiful. Thanks, Andrea, for being here. I really appreciate you giving us your time on a Sunday. All right, brother, back to you.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat the question one more
Oh,
time? Oh,
no problem,
swing and
brother.
day trading.
Yeah,
Got it.
swing or day. Yeah, like what's the percentage that you do? Do you normally take day trades and become into swing trades? That's probably one of the questions I get asked the most. So how do you deal with that?
So I would say I didn't perfect this until about 3 months ago, or
Okay.
2 months ago, I would say. But I used to do mainly day trades until I figured out, or during this market environment, I adapted a little and I noticed that day trades do phenomenal during the morning hour, during the morning 2 hours. So I'll stick to day trades at that time. And
Yes.
then I realized through this year alone that my swing entries, if they're intraday, the way I trade, the way my trading style is, I will either get stopped out due to emotions or get stopped out because I didn't give the stock enough time to base. So right now, what I'm doing is 50% day trades in the morning. And
Mm-hmm.
then during the last literally 10 minutes of the day, that's when I'm entering swing trades. And I'm
Wow.
usually exiting the very next day during the opening hour. So me personally, I know I'm gonna make emotional mistakes if I'm holding on to something for too long, even though the stock is doing great, the plan is going as according. I just, something about it, I just can't handle it. So
Mhm.
I recognize that I can enter swings end of day and exit them the very next day without worrying about theta and monitoring the stock, and I could put my eyes on other names.
Wow. That's really impressive. And something that came to my mind there is that, there was this study or graphic or whatever that someone posted, one of my friends actually on in the fintech community, that said, a lot of the moves that happen in names actually happen overnight, right? So if you're taking, let's say you're taking calls into the close, let's say on AMD, for example, and if it gaps up the next day, you can make a lot. But obviously there has to be some type of risk management involved in that. You're not going to go and, bet 50% of your capital in one of those trades. So I guess, how do you manage the risk side of that? So if you're playing some of these names into the close and then looking for, I guess, a gap up the next day, how are you sizing those? Are they all small risk, or do you use a percentage of your capital? What do you normally do in that situation?
So I never went the percentage route myself just because I started with a small account. That's why I'm such a big fan of small account growing.
Hmm.
So until I got to the point where I could safely make about $2,000 to $3,000 per position for day trades and not worry about 100% loss, I
Hmm.
was just taking one contract every time. It did not matter. I wanted to
Okay.
perfect my style, and it was just one contract, one contract, one contract, bit more comfortable and my portfolio started growing, I adapted a rule for myself that I still stick to. I've adapted this rule about a year and a half ago, and
Hmm.
it has not changed no matter how my portfolio changes. But for day trades, I know that's my proficiency, so I'll go ahead and put anywhere between 7 to 20,000 per trade on that. And I know swing trades. I can catch some swing trades, but to be honest with you, my win rate with swing trades is about 50%. So I'll keep my swing trades to no more than 3,000. That's another
Got it.
aspect of I identify my weakness, so I'm just gonna play around it.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. Yeah. So that's another way of just having those numbers in your head, like, the guidance of how much dollar value can you actually commit to some of these plays, instead of the percentage route. So that's interesting, man. And I'm actually learning a few things here. So I got my notepad out here. I got my pen and pad, and I'm taking some notes. And I hope you guys in the chat, I hope you guys have your pen and your pad out, because this type of knowledge, guys, I'm telling you right now, our brother here is taking the kindness of his heart to share his experience with you guys, and it's amazing. So again, thank you so much for being here, bro. And let's move on to the next two topics. Actually, I guess you were briefly touching on these, the small account tips. So you had a small account, you grew it. If you could give us a high level, what are some of the tips that you recommend for traders that have a small account, and what do you think is the bare minimum that you need to actually get started trading options?
Well, that's interesting because it depends on what you're trading. For example, small accounts, if you're trading large caps, let's say Tesla, Fang, any of that stuff, you have to expect or you have to be okay with the fact that starting off, you're going to be overpositioned a lot of the
Yes.
times. So
Yes.
unless you're picking low float names or cheap premium at the beginning, you have to acknowledge that there's a very, very high risk when starting. And that also brings to the point where some people grow their small account and they also increase their sizing with it. No, that's not what you should be doing. When you
Hmm.
grow a small account, you should keep the same size because that size is going to become less and less and less of your portfolio. So that was just the whole aspect of me sticking to my dollar value for my portfolio. Same thing with the small accounts. Just keep that dollar value or that percentage base consistent so you can
Perfect.
grow your portfolio and not take as big of hits. So the bare minimum, I would say, if you want to trade large caps primarily, you need about $2,000 to $3,000,
Hmm.
and I would suggest sticking to trading Monday through Wednesday. You don't really want to have a huge hassle with theta decay on Thursday and Fridays. So that would be my biggest tip,
That's
really.
perfect. That's great. Those are great tips. One thing that I want to point out, I know it's not the sexiest thing these days, but there are actually partial shares. So if you don't want to do the option route, and let's say you want to trade large caps like Tesla, you can get in with half a share. in some brokers, right? And I know I use interactive brokers, and I've done that in the past when my account was a little bit smaller, even with like Google and other names like that. So that's also an option for people. But I guess this actually brings me to another good question: is do you trade shares at all, or are you primarily an options trader?
So this is what I do. At the end of every week, I take 10% of my profits, and that goes instantly into my long-term Commons account. So I have a
Wow.
Commons account on TD, and I also have a day trading account on Webull. So I'll go ahead and manage my my profits that way. So I'm never ever depositing money from my bank into any of my portfolios. My portfolios are simply feeding each other.
Wow, that's awesome, guys. All right, so hit me with a one in the chat right now. If you're loving the stream and if your mind is being blown, so hit us with a one. Let's get the ones. Let's get the energy rolling in here. This is actually amazing, amazing knowledge, coming for you for the price of FREE. So it doesn't get any better than that, guys. One thing that I've learned in my career for a very long time is that when something's free, especially like when it comes to food, it tastes better. And trust me, when knowledge is coming out there for free, it feels a lot better also. All right. So I see all the ones coming in, beautiful. And I guess just to add to you there, brother, I have three accounts also. I have a long-term investing account and my swing and my day trading account. And I really like the approach that you have there of reinvesting your gains for the longer run and the longer term. Because definitely it really depends on your age also, but if you're playing this game and you have a 20, 30, 40 year horizon, there just simply putting your money there and not even looking at it could actually outperform some of the day trades and the swing trades, especially when you think about compounding over time. So that's impressive and awesome. So what I want to do now, brother, is I want to talk a little bit more about trigger trading. Is there anything else you wanted to add and speak about before we get into that?
No, not at all.
Perfect. So I'm gonna actually pop up a chart on Moderna. Moderna was one of our Lotto Friday picks for last Friday, and I want to talk about the trigger trading and how it works. And then I want you, brother. I'm gonna talk about my methodology, and then I want you to jump in and talk about some of your methodology, and then we can contrast and compare, and we can leverage off of each other. So for me, if we go to Moderna, what I like doing is I like starting with the daily chart always. And I need to have a precondition, a prerequisite. That's what I call it. So there was an inside bar on Thursday that closed on Moderna. And what that means to me is that there's consolidation, there's option premium decay. And I'm trying to come in the next day on a 5 minute, 3 minute, 15 minute, any of those intraday timeframes. And I'm trying to look for opportunities to get into place. And I use the trigger approach as one of my strategies. And what I like doing with the trigger approach is just keeping it very simple. Break below this purple line, I'm going to buy puts. Break above this purple line, I'm going to buy calls. And the reason why I do that is because from my experience, and generally maybe about 50 to 70% of the time, when we have an inside day, it's not going to close with another inside day. It's very rare, like in this case, to have a double inside day. So what I'm expecting there is the range to break and to have some type of expansion. And then if I go down to the 5 here, and we can see right here with Moderna, we had that first 5 minute bar coming down pretty hard and just taking an opening range breakout right there, right a little bit above our trigger. That was the entry that I took. And I think right around here, the puts were around $5. I think the 390 puts. And, near the end of the day, they were about 11. So I think the trigger is very simple method for most new traders. How would you describe the trigger method, the way that you do it? Are you using, the highs and lows of the previous day? Can you give us some more insight into your style?
Yeah, of course. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the golden trigger method, but it essentially revolves around that 15-minute 200 MA with extended hours on.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
my first step is to take a look at the 15-minute chart and make sure that 200 moving average is flattening out if I'm trying to play the breakout to the upside. If it's
Got it.
coming down descending, you have a higher chance of price rejection around that moving average. If it's ascending, it's a little bit trickier to play. So my first step is always a flat 200 MA.
Mm-hmm.
After I see that, then I'll go ahead and utilize the classic technical analysis, which is, looking at the daily chart, identifying any horizontal planes that might break out, any chart patterns that are giving confluence points, which also brings me to the next point, confluence points. I never, ever am making an entry or an exit off of one indicator alone.
Got it.
I'm finding plays where the key levels are aligning with that 200 MA or the 5-minute 50 MA, just moving averages that I know that are really, really powerful. And I only know that by, looking at previous days, seeing how price is reacting, and looking at pre-market, how is price reacting to these moving averages. So once I have an alignment or a confluence point, that's when I know that the trade is good for me.
Wow. Now that's awesome. I mean, that's great. So confluence, that's a very important word, guys. Let's write that one down. That's something that can greatly increase your win rate, right? When you have multiple things saying the same thing, it's likelier to happen. And right there, brother, you talking about, having those classical chart patterns, looking at the 200 moving average, and incorporating them in a combined effort can really help your odds. And the 200 moving average, I know it's very, very powerful. I don't have it on my charts, but I've used it in the past more for like long-term investing and stuff, like especially on the weekly or the dailies when we're tagging those. You generally have a good chance to get a bounce there. So I really love how you incorporate that, and that's awesome. So I guess once you get your golden trigger, how do you manage the position after that? Is it a scaling out approach? Do you move your stop loss up? What do you generally do?
Okay, so I have a few preset rules. One is I'm always starting with a starting position, and here's a little secret for people who wants to day trade, manually. I know you do everything automated, but if people are glued to the screen and you want a little inside secret, is that technical analysis, if you wait for the reaction to happen, a lot of the times you're either chasing premium or you're already late to the party. You already have bad risk to reward ratio. So what I do is I go ahead and open a very, very, very small starter position right before that confluence point hits. Then once I see either momentum or volume leading up into the break, and I'm talking about, I want to see a 2 to 3 point break on this confluence point. I don't want slow ticks up. I want momentum. So once I see momentum, I'll go ahead and utilize Fibonacci's, look for that 50% retracement, go ahead and scale in my rest of the position, and then I'm looking for the next confluence point, and I'm taking profits right before it gets to it. Because as you know, if we're meeting a confluence point that's going to be a strong resistance, you're going to see a big, big retrace within seconds. So I don't want to be chasing the sell either. So I'm always doing things right before these reaction points.
Wow. Well said, my brother. And that's something that's really, really important too, that I tell everyone that follows this channel, is that you have to envision where it's going before it gets there. Because if you wait till it gets there, the premiums are already going to be expensive, right? So things like using the opening range breakouts, things like using fibs, they're basically front running the idea before it even happens. And if you're right on that idea, you're going to hit hard, and you're going to make, 3, 4, 5 times your risk. But if you're always late chasing the game, like you're saying, you're going to have an inverted risk to reward. And with an inverted risk to reward, you're basically going to always lose money. There's no way to get around it. And wow, like my mind is blown right here, man. This is impressive. So guys, honestly, guys, in the chat here, hit me with a 2 if you're feeling the energy, if you're feeling the knowledge. Like right now, what we're breaking down here right now, guys, you guys know, and I know those furus out there that'll be charging $5,000 or $10,000 for some session, some bullshit. So hit me with the 2 right now, guys, and let's push this energy up, man. This is insane. So thank you so much, brother. And wow, I mean, there's a lot of things here that it's a different way, definitely a different way than I look at. But some things that we overlap with are the fibs. Fibs are very, very powerful. A lot of algorithm trading these days. A lot of bots out there. 50% is very, very important. That 50 fib is very important. The one that I love also is a 618. But the 50 is, especially when things are moving fast, they might touch that 50 one time for a few seconds, and it'll be gone. And that's why you got to be ready. And I love the idea of opening a starter position right before the move. And I guess so that's kind of the benefit of being there at the screen. But how do you manage the risk on that, brother? Like, without, let's say, so a lot of people message me, hey man, I average down this position, and then I blew up. So how do you deal with that from a rules-based perspective?
Well, I used to, average down as well until I realized that if you're averaging down, it's probably already a losing position. That's the thing with options. Once, well, day trades anyway.
Hmm.
Once you get going in a certain direction, that's probably where it's going to head. So if you're finding yourself averaging down on day trades, you're already creating a nightmare position. So
Yes.
for me personally, I always do this. Whenever I start trimming my first scale out, I'm setting
Hmm.
the stop loss to break even. I don't care if break even hits and skyrockets back up. There's a million days, there's a million stocks that I can trade and make more money with. But if
Wow.
I'm limiting the risk, then I can just trade with no stress ever.
Yep, exactly. So you're making the stock, you're making the options fit your criteria. If it doesn't want to work, too bad, on to the next one. And there are trades that when they hit, you're making green right away, and it never looks back.
Yeah.
And those trades are those are the ones you got to maximize. And then there's trades that do the opposite. You're in there and you're already down. And like you said, instead of digging yourself in a bigger hole, sometimes it's just better to take that loss and reset and reassess yourself.
Yeah, and 100%. And I feel like a lot of people don't understand that the whole averaging down aspect, just invert it, average up into working positions. I feel like a lot of people are just hesitant to average in on a position that's already green for some reason. But that's what you
Hmm.
want to do. If a position is working, invest more in it. That's the positions you want to
Yes.
focus on, not the ones that are
Yes.
red.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's great. And we always hear about average down. We never hear about average up. And that's awesome, man. And the worst thing that can happen, if you're already green on a portion of that trade and you average in, the worst thing that can happen is you could probably lose your paper profits, right? And that's not going to kill anybody at the end of the day. And once you get that stop loss up to break even, everything that you're riding and in the momentum that you're riding in is should carry you out. Because a lot of the times when you're day trading, if you're right, you can be right in a big way, because you're trying to drill in to such a small time frame. But when you actually zoom out in the bigger picture, a lot of the times you could be a part of a huge trend, that could even last for days and days and days.
Right? Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So there we go. So do you have any particular names like that you recall from the top of your head that we can look at? Maybe like something you did last week that you remember, and we can kind of pull it up here and take a look at it.
Yeah. In the meantime, while I look for the trades of last week, let's go ahead and pull up Beyond.
Okay, got it. Beyond. All right. Beyond. There we go. So you want to take a look at the daily chart?
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the daily chart.
Okay, perfect. Yep. Zoom out a little bit here. Boom. Yeah, so Beyond is one that I don't really trade too much. Actually, we got a donation here. Let's pull this brother up here. We got John Fentress right here with a $5. Learning from both of you the past couple of months has changed the whole game on my trading. Thanks for everything. God bless. God bless you, brother. Thank you so much for that donation. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate all the support. Everything we do, guys, is for you at the end of the day. Trying to change lives one step at a time, trying to make fishermen so they can feed the whole village. That's the concept. And if we do that, if everybody thought like that, guys, this world would be a much better place.
Right on. Completely agree.
All right, so brother, yeah. So Beyond, why don't you run me through here, how you kind of look at this one? Do you normally start with the daily, or do you go like maybe to the weekly, to the monthly with your charts?
So the first thing I do is for the fresh week, I'll start with the weekly. If it's
Mm-hmm.
intra week on, let's say it's Tuesday or Thursday, Wednesday, whatever, I'm looking at the daily. However, a fresh new week, I'm always looking at the weekly. If the lows are holding the lows of last week and they're
Mm-hmm.
tapping right at the edge of the highs, I can know. Let's take a look at this chart for the rest of the week, see how it reacts on the 15-minute chart, see how it reacts on the hourly charts, where it's basing, where it's holding, and then I'll go ahead and make a decision forward.
Got it. Beautiful. All right. So yeah. So definitely for me, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, brother, but the way that I look at stocks and charts, is I need to have one of my patterns. So, I have my holy grail, which is the outside bar, the inside bar. I have my double inside bars, and I have, just my regular inside and outside bars. And I have them all different color coded. And for me, if a name doesn't have one of those patterns, I don't trade it, because I need that pattern in order for me to trade it, because that's where my edge is. So for example, here on the weekly with Beyond, I would not trade it. On the daily here, I would not trade it also. If I go down to the hourly, there's nothing. So I don't really see anything that would interest me in terms of moving it instead of trading it. And I have a scanner, and the scanner will pick up the names that are, like, for example, everything that's a holy grail. It'll pick it up for me, so then I can go ahead and focus on those. But definitely, like what you're saying there, each candle has its own personality. So if the candle, like you said, if it was slamming against the previous the low and it held it, and then it came up and closed at highs, that's telling you that the buyers were in control at the end of the week. And then going into the next week, you can definitely look for opportunities with that precondition or that prerequisite in mind.
100%.
Beautiful. And we got another donation right here from Eric Bosom with a $4.99. Thank you. Appreciate that very much, brother. Thank you for being here. All right. So what we're gonna do here, let me go back there. So did you find one you want to talk about? If not, that's okay, brother. I know I should have told you before.
No, it's fine. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of my losses from last week.
Okay.
Last week I only traded 2 days. I believe I did 3 trades total, but one of them was a loss, and it was Tesla.
Okay.
Let me see exactly what day it was. It was 1 second. Sorry about that.
No, take your time, brother. And while our brother here is pulling up the pick, guys, think about that. He's on this stream here showing his losses, guys. That takes a lot of courage. A lot of courage to do that. And you guys know, you guys seen my losses. I have all my trades on my spreadsheet for everyone to see. I have nothing to hide. It is what it is. And if you're not losing, then you're doing something wrong. Because in trading, you're going to have losing streaks and you're going to have winning streaks. And what's important is on those losing streaks, you better get paper cuts. And on those winning streaks, you need to win more than your losers. If you're losing $100 on a trade, you want to get, at least 100, 150, 200. If you keep the risk to reward in a good place, you're going to do well. So pop quiz here for you guys. If we take 100 trades, okay, and we have a 2-to-1 risk to reward, how many trades out of 100 do we need to win in order to walk away? So if we take a trade, it's either going to lose 100 or it's going to win 200 in this situation. So that's a 2-to-1. How many trades out of 100 do we need to win? And there we go. So we got it coming in right there, 34, 34, 34. That is what you need to print out on a piece of paper and put it in front of your computer. Get a tattoo, on your ass, wherever, somewhere that you can always remember this. 34 out of 100. That's all it takes in trading, guys. And our brother right here is showing us a loss, and that's going to happen. And if you're not losing, and if someone is telling you they're not losing, then you need to be very skeptical of that person.
100%.
All right, so yeah, go ahead.
I pulled up. Oh, sorry about that. I pulled up the Tesla trade. It was on the 26th of August, and you can see a little pop in the morning and then a drop right after. I went ahead and entered around the 7:15, I believe. Let's double check. So yeah, literally at the highs of the day. So the 7:15, and then as you see, we got a little rejection from the chart pattern that's been forming over the past 4 days. Before that, so it would be a rejection off of the top
over here.
Yeah, exactly. And then fell back down below, touched that 200 MA, confluence with the bottom of the flag. Let me take a look at your screen really quick.
Right there. So right here is the 200. I have the 200 right there, right? And we came back, we tagged it here, right here, and then we were also lining up with the low of the day at the time.
Yes. So that confluence point hits, and boom, the trade just starts melting. However, my mistake here, which I want to talk about, is I went ahead and just held on to it. I acknowledge that the trade was a losing one, and I knew that the trade wouldn't recover in terms of premium just because of, we're already at Thursday, the end of the day. Yeah, I still held on to it. So that's just another emotional mistake of I just want it to be right.
Yeah. And if you look at this trade, if we hit the replay feature right here, and let's just look at this trade together, this looks like a goddamn good trade, right? We have that double bottom pattern right here, 200 MA support. We even have a nice inside bar showing us that we have some pause. Everything looks really good, ready to rock and roll. But as you see later on in the day, guys, boom, we fall over and we don't recover until the next day. And that's important because doesn't matter how good your setup is, there's going to be times where it loses. And thanks, brother, for being so transparent and honest with us on what you did here. So I guess if you were to go back, how would you play this trade better?
First and foremost, if I went back and I saw that 200 MA loss, and I already know that the 200 MA is my prime indicator, that should have been a cut it and move on to the next trade. If it recovers, just re-enter it, no problem. But
Yeah.
even though I know these things, like I tell you, emotions will get the best of you no matter how long you've been investing, no matter how good you are. Emotions got to me and I just wanted to be right. So if I could go back in time, I would just obey the rules that I already set.
Perfect. And everybody needs those rules, guys. And you got to write it down on a piece of paper. You got to print it out. You got to whatever you got to do with those rules. You got to make sure you follow them. And it's okay to break them. It's okay. That's a part of human nature. But the more often you find yourself breaking your rules, that's when you need to really think about taking a break from trading and to stepping back, because you break those rules too many times, guys, and you don't have an account left to trade with. So always be aware of your rules. And for me, what I do to deal with the rules that I have in place is I just try to automate things to the best of my ability. Because that way it either hits a stop or it hits a target and I'm out. Because myself as well, the human side of the business is very difficult. Very difficult. And so that's one of the pros and cons about being there with the screen is you can definitely cut it quicker and save yourself, or also add to existing positions really well and get big home run trades. But there's also that risk that you could freeze up, like we saw in this example. But otherwise than that, brother, that's great, and thanks for being so honest and transparent with us. And what I want to do now is I actually want to open up the floor to you, and I want to talk a little bit more about what you do for the community, what's on your Twitter, what services do you have, etc. So I got your website right here, GAAoptions.com. Why don't you talk a little bit about your website, like what are services you have, and just take the floor, brother, and whatever you want to talk about, the floor is yours.
I appreciate that. So the first thing I want to say is you do not need to be in my service 100%. There's a reason why I keep my rates so low, is because I genuinely think if you want to be in a service, sure, just don't pay too much. If you don't want to be in a service, that's also completely fine. And that's why I made all my education completely for free. If you go ahead and take a look at the commandments of trading in the upper right-hand corner, I just write essentially my rules that I have posted in my room. And other than that, in my Discord, I have an educational info section that's completely free. No one needs to be a member at all. All you do, go into my Discord, take a look at the educational info. I have my my golden trigger method explained. I have how to create your own watch list. I have everything that you need to trade exactly like me. So that's something that I'm always going to keep free forever. So if you're interested in my education, just go ahead and take it for free. If you're interested in coming to my service, what we do is, I'm just sharing my live log, completely my live log. So every position I'm alerting, that's just my entry, and I'm also giving my exit. Just because if you're giving alerts, as in I added blank at blank, you gotta also give an exit, just because you can't be leaving your members in the dark. And that's why I like the way your service is set up, because you have everything automated, and everything is essentially like a robot, so you already know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
But
it's either going to be a loser or a winner. That's it.
yeah, 100%. But just live entries, live exits. The education's completely for free. We have member chats, obviously, where we're talking throughout the day. And just recently, I started actually live streaming my trades, my screen, all that stuff on Zoom. For right now, our cap is 500 members, just because that's what Zoom allows. Once we get more views on Zoom, I know a lot of people, have work and whatnot and can't attend these meetings, then I'll go ahead and increase the members to 1,000 on Zoom. But yeah, so live streams, chats,
Let me
and
jump in real quick about this $25 a month, brother. So guys, let's take a step back for a second. $25 a month to see a professional trader trade, give you education, be a part of a community is an absolute steal. Absolute complete steal, guys. And you guys know there are people that are copying what I do and what our brother here, GAA Options, does, and they're charging $100 a month without any alerts. Okay, and they're ripping us off. And guys, this right here is fair. It's fair for the amount of effort this brother puts in, for the amount of education that he gives. This is the least that we can do. So this, guys, support our brother here, GAA. Check him out here on, I guess, the commandments of trading. I really like. This is really nice. And this is something that people should definitely print out a copy of this and keep it and add your little tweaks to it. This is a great template for you guys to use. I love this. And why don't we move on to your YouTube, brother? What do you do here?
So YouTube I primarily use to upload my educational info onto the free education in my Discord. Some videos are unlisted just because they're trade recaps that I post for members, and we go ahead and dissect our mistakes, what worked and how we can replicate it in future trades, all that good stuff. But recently I've been interviewing traders such as yourself, and I'm not only trying to show Twitter all the great trading styles that these people offer, but I'm also trying to expand my knowledge. I'm only in here for 3 years or so. So, I have lots and lots and lots to learn. And I just want to expand my knowledge and share that with everyone else that also wants to do the same.
And, that is definitely why, brother, I'm saying that, this type of frequency that we're on here, the giving, helping, sharing, educating, this is the type of frequency that we can't be stopped. Because what you give to the world is what you get back in one way, shape, or form. And I'm very, very excited to see all the stuff you're putting out, and I'm very happy that we're able to connect here. And guys, look, I'm the last person interviewed there. So look at this lineup here, guys: Trading Wars, Data Warrior, Charting Options, Davis Trades. All people that you guys can study and learn from and get better. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, guys. We can't take this information. We can't take the money when we're 6 feet under. Okay. So it's about giving and helping our community. And like I said, guys, the charity, the good cause that our brother is doing, check him out in the Discord. And make sure you guys support those in need. It's very, very important. And let me move over to your Twitter, actually. I just in case some of my followers are not familiar with you, brother, GAA Options right here. Let's get him to break 20K, guys. He's at 19,944. So let's get him to break 20K by the end of tonight. So go on to the Twitter and follow him, and let's get that up there, guys. This guy deserves a lot. And it takes a lot of courage to come here and talk about what you do, to be honest and transparent. And the people that are not coming out and talking about what they're doing are obviously the ones that are lying to you guys. All right. So be very careful about who you let in your circle. Be very careful about who's your mentor and what you're going to learn from. And this is one of the guys that I can vouch for right here. Okay.
I appreciate that, Richard. And I just want to say something really quick. If you guys do want to support me, don't feel the need to subscribe to my service. If you want to support, just go ahead and like and retweet the educational info that I put out. That way we can, like Richard says, share with the world our knowledge. That's the number one thing that we're trying to do here.
Yes. And let me go ahead here, and if your free watch list, let me hit that retweet before I forget. And let me do my part, guys. You guys go out there and do your part. All right. Let's keep growing and let's keep helping each other. So man, this has been awesome. What I normally do now at this point in the stream is I usually just do some chart requests. And I would love to maybe pick 10. And there's way too much for us to go through, and we've already been in here for about 50 minutes. We have 235 people in here. So this is awesome. Thanks you guys for joining. But if you have time, brother, for I guess another 15, 20 minutes, are you okay for us to hit some of these chart requests?
Oh, more than okay. Very happy to.
Beautiful. All right, guys, hit us with a 4 if you're ready to rock and roll with the chart request. Hit us with a 4 if you appreciate our brother here. If you learned something, I want to see those 4s coming in, and then let's go ahead and do the chart request. So I'm going to start off here with the chart request from the Discord. I'm going to pick a few here, and then we're going to pick some from you guys here on the YouTube, and I'm going to pick some from the actual Twitter. Okay, so here we go. So I'm gonna start from the bottom right here, guys. So we have this one right here from our brother TWLO Twillo. Let's look at that one. So TWLO. So what I like to do, as I said, guys, is I'm gonna go through the weekly chart first, and there we go. So here's an inside bar for TWLO. So this is a relevant trade for me. I can take this trade. Just looking at this name right here, I can already tell you that that inside bar is definitely sitting on a Fibonacci. So let's go ahead and draw that from this low, pull it up to the high right there. Boom. So exactly sitting on the 50. That's what I thought. So essentially here with this inside bar, what we can do, guys, for me is we can take the break above, break below, right? Put the stop on the other side, or we can drill down tomorrow. We can go to the daily, the hourly, and look for entries. We can use the inside bars on the lower time frames. We can use the opening range breakout. We can use fibs within this bar itself. So definitely an excellent trading opportunity. Thanks for sharing that. And how would you look at this, brother? How would you look at this name here? Let me zoom out for you.
So I'm personally looking at the I'm looking at my Webull right now. I'm taking a look at the daily chart now, and I see that there's an obvious resistance being in play. The entire, let's see, past 1, 2, 3, 4. So approximately the past 2 weeks, it's been knocking at that 361 level around there. So I also noticed that on the daily, it's also below the 50 MA, which I don't personally like to trade until it goes ahead and reclaims. However, I can see that there is a gap above. So there's plenty of day trade opportunities here. What I would do personally is I would look for the 370 level to be cleared. Once the 370 is claimed, we can take a look at the 50 MA. And once the 50 MA is cleared, that we can start considering a more multi-month type setup coming into play. As we see, it's been forming since the highs of March here.
Beautiful. And I love that open gap right over here around 390-ish. Those gaps, guys, tend to fill in the market. Open gaps, there's also a little one right over here. Those gaps generally fill. Gap trading is a very powerful technique. So definitely love that analysis, brother. Let's go on to the next one. So we have FCEL. Let's see what this one is about. FCEL, fuel cell energy. So boom, going to go to the weekly. So with the weekly, I don't see anything particular, guys. For these name guys under $15, I don't play them. I find them not really good for technical analysis. What are your thoughts on those brothers? Do you play any name that are like, these really cheap stocks?
So unfortunately, I'm sure, as you know, running a service, we don't have the luxury to play stocks that don't have already high volume in premiums, because we can affect the premium itself. So personally, I stay away from these stocks, and especially I'm staying away from a stock that's under all its moving averages on the daily. It's below its 50, it's below its 100, below its 200. So like you said, I'm not really seeing a trade here at all. And if we take a look at the weekly, it's also hugging on to that 100 MA as support. So lots of support being tested already.
Got it. Love it, brother. Yeah. So here we go. We got Israel Garcia with the 499 and the cup of wine. Thank you, my brother. Very much appreciate that. And yeah, brother, that's very important. What we're trying to do in our service, in what we do, we're not trying to get people into high risk pump and dump. We're not trying to pump anything. We want to trade stocks that you can trade for a living, blue chips, high volume, that you can come every single day, the indexes, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and earn an honest living from, guys. So this one, we're going to pass on that. Let's go on to the next one. So snow is a very, I know it showed up on my scanner. So let's look at this. Here's some of my advanced technical analysis right here. So we have the weekly, nothing really popping up here. I know we have an inside bar on the daily because I just scanned this one. So definitely that inside bar on the daily with this big bullish bar the day before. Looking to have some type of movement tomorrow, definitely with that pause. So this is actually going to be one of the bonus picks that I push out later. And I really like this one. I'm going to drill down at the open and see where the momentum is and try to get an entry on the 5 or the 3 minute chart. So definitely, what do you think about this one, brother?
Like you said, I like the inside bar forming on the daily, and a nice little weekly candle formed, close at the highs here. So I would be looking to see if it holds that 292.3 area. If so, then we can look higher into going into breaking that highs of 307, and I would put a price target of about 325 if we hold that 292.
Beautiful. Yeah. So basically right there, you have defined risk, where you're wrong, and you also have a target above your head. to help you get to have an idea. And that's important, planning it out before it happens. For me, with that inside bar right there, when I drill down on a 5-minute chart here, I'm trying to play it bar by bar. I'm trying to take those bars, play the inside bars, play the fibs, and have defined risk also. So that's awesome. Let's continue here. AFL weekly. Boom. Okay, so we have my holy grail pattern here, guys. So the holy grail pattern is an outside bar followed by an inside bar. And the reason I like these is because the outside bar breaks the high and the low of the previous week. So that's definitely trapping some breakout buyers on both sides. Then we have the inside bar, which is a pause consolidation. So these type of moves, I generally like to see. I generally see some good follow through for. And if we can look at the past few holy grails. We can see this one was just a chop. This one was a good push, and this one a little bit of chop, and then a great push. So definitely looking to play that move there. Personally, for me, I think I put this one in the newsletter. I'm not really looking to trade it, but definitely a good setup for you guys that are interested. And also looks like it's pressing up against the previous all-time high. So anytime you have that, you have a recipe for an explosion. So what do you think about this one, brother?
Besides what you said, I like the trend line that's forming and it's pushing up against on the weekly and the daily. So we have two trend lines in play. The daily has one that's been forming over the past week and a half, little bit of resistance overhead here. And then the second one that's been forming since, let's see, highs since 6/11. We can see a clear downtrend in play. So if it goes ahead and takes out that 58 level, then you can go ahead and try for a 60 price target.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I love these names that don't really have much resistance overhead. We just have really the previous all-time high over here. We have some resistance over here, but otherwise than that, with bam, 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 if we can clear that, guys, these things can get wild, especially when the market is overall bullish. Like if the S&P 500, the Nasdaqs are making new all-time highs and pushing, these names will also get a boost from that with the indexes. So that's impressive. Okay, so let's continue here. I'm going to take two more from the Discord, and then we're going to move on. So let's look at DLPN. So I'm not even familiar with that name. Let's see what that is. Dolphin Entertainment. Okay, so we go to the weekly here. Another one of these like weird stocks here. I don't play these ones. Look at this manipulation here. You see that wick? 31 all the way back down to 750. That's a name that I will stay far away from. I rather you guys putting your money into less of these risky ones. So let's move on to Pfizer. So Pfizer's another one here. I don't see anything on the weekly. The daily, so we did take this as a Lotto Friday play on Pfizer. You could see that inside bar that broke down. So that's kind of what we're looking at. When we get these inside bars, this is what we want to see the next day. Clean move, push through, good for a Lotto pick. But right now, I don't see any other setups that I'll be interested in. And I'm just going to wait until I get my plays. So what do you see here, brother?
100%. I mean, that's an ugly close on Friday and just ugly last week in general. I'd probably take a look if it can hold the 46 level, but other than that, it needs a little bit time to digest.
Yeah, and look at this move here. Like you could see, guys, when we start going vertical, you could see we started going vertical back on basically around the end of June. And anytime we go vertical and we have some profit taking, we can go back down vertical also, because there's a lot of guys that want to lock in profits. There's a lot of people that are trapped buying at all-time highs. So that combination could definitely lead to a rug pull, and that's what it looks like right here. All right, so let's move on. One more from here, and then we're going to move on. So here we go. TGT. Boom. Weekly. Nice, tight inside bar. I love that play right there. Bracketing this bar, break above the high, break below the low, or drilling down on the daily and the hourly to find other forms of entries. Definitely like that one there. It is a little bit extended, but the thing with these names, once they get going, even if they're extended, it doesn't mean they can't go higher. It's just a matter of managing your risk and knowing when to cut your losses. So what do you see on this one, brother?
That's interesting because I was actually taking a look at retail. HD was my pick for the week just because Target is underneath its 50 moving average, if I'm not mistaken. The last time I checked, yeah, it's right underneath that 50 moving average. So if you want to play Target and you want to play retail, retail names are going to move alongside of each other. So I'll just go ahead and take a look at a name that's a little bit in a better position, which is HD for me. But for Target, like you said, inside bar forming there. Personally, I just don't know how to trade this setup. I do see a little bit of a trend line working that can break, but the setup just isn't for me.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. And HD is actually one of the names that I am trading next week also. So hopefully we both win on that, brother. That would be awesome if we can actually both hit on that. But yeah, you got to know when to go all in, and you got to know when to fold them. I don't know what that's, you guys get the song I'm referencing, right? You got to know when to fold them and hold them, something like that. Anyways, so, there's a song out there, but that basically what I'm trying to say, guys. If you don't have an edge, you got to move on. Look how many stocks there are. There's millions. There's millions of stocks that you can trade. You can go and trade futures if you want. You can trade anything. You can go trade coffee beans. So if you don't see the setup that you like, just move on. All right. So out of the Discord here, let's take three. Let's take three from the chat right now. So I see someone talking about Apple. So let me pull that up. Apple is obviously a very popular one. So Apple is very important to me because of this weekly Holy Grail pattern right here. So you could see Apple. I actually traded Apple last week, made some money, and then it came back down. Then now we have another Holy Grail pattern. And what that means to me, guys, is that we just have a lot of trap traders in Apple now. A lot of people trying to buy breakouts, getting punished. And now with this consolidation, I'm looking again to play Apple into next week. There's a nice Holy Grail on the weekly. And if we go to the 2-week chart, guys, there is actually a reverse Holy Grail, which is an inside bar followed by an outside bar. And all those bars are telling me, guys, is that premium has been getting chopped up and a lot of people are trapped. And I'm going to be looking for the next leg on Apple to try to take advantage of that. So what do you see on this one, brother?
I love the inside bar on the weekly. I would personally look at volume coming in at the 150 level. If you get adequate volume there, you should be expecting new all-time highs, just because we do have a trend line on that a weekly, and you can see the wicks are getting faked out, but they're trying to break out really hard. So
yeah, they're trying. They're trying. That's for sure.
100%. So 150 with volume, I'm in.
Perfect. Love it. All right, so let's take two more from the chat here. We have Disney. Let's take a look at that. DIS. Boom. Yeah, Disney is one of my picks for next week, guys. We have a weekly inside bar. Also with the 2-week, we have this pattern. I don't even know what to call this one. We have two Holy Grails back to back. Outside bar, inside bar, outside bar, inside bar. You probably will never see this pattern again in your life showing up on Disney. It's very, very rare. I don't think we'll see it ever again, at least for the rest of this year. So definitely a lot of, look at the sideways moves right here from the 10th of May all the way until now. We've just been basically going sideways. So definitely options have been getting hit. Premiums have been decaying. I'm looking for a play now to see if this is the time when we can actually break out. And a lot of it's also going to depend on the overall market. Is the market there to support these type of moves? So definitely on my watch list. Thank you very much for bringing that up. What do you see on this one, brother?
Actually, over the weekend, we took two trades for swings. One, Disney, and two, DraftKings. So Disney, I love the setup. Look at the bar that happened on Friday here, I believe it was. Friday.
Yep.
Look at that beautiful bullish engulfing bar, closing very beautifully and reclaiming not just 1, 2, but all three major moving averages, the 100, the 50, the 200. And now we're setting up for the next leg up. Once we can hold over that 162.5 area, we should be looking at, around, I would say, give it another month and you can expect to see that 200, 205 area.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. And my thoughts are same here. I think if we can finally break out of this range, which I'm ready, I'm locked and loaded. I have all my orders, I already put them in yesterday. So this is a swing for me. Once it triggers those prices, it's going to buy calls and it's going to buy shares. And I have my stop loss in place. If this is the time where we break and we go into new all-time highs, I'm going to make a lot of money on this. And this is what you got to do. You got to keep trying. Eventually, we're going to have some type of resolution. We can't be sideways forever, guys. Eventually, we're going to have a breakout either to the upside or to the downside. We don't know which one, but we're just playing the odds. And let's take a look at DraftKings, actually, since you were talking about that one. DraftKings, beautiful, powerful bullish bar On the weekly, on the daily, guys. So DraftKings was actually one of the Lotto Friday picks, I believe, that we had. And we had a little bit of selling into the close, but I think that this is just an error on TradingView. Actually, I don't even think that wick is right. But anyways, definitely DraftKings is one of them that I've been holding for a long time, actually, in my long-term investing account. Right here around the 36s on this pullback, I actually started adding to a longer-term position on DraftKings. So I like it for my investment account. I like it to day trade. I love this name. It's a really, really high flyer. But in terms of new setups, I don't really see anything that I'm interested in. Do you see anything, brother?
Personally, for me, there is a really strong resistance here at that 62.16 level. I'm looking to see if it can claim that very early in the week. I'm talking Monday, Tuesday opens.
Yeah.
If not, I gotta recognize that this move is gonna start to decay, and then I'll right back out. But so long as it can break over 62.16 and hold over that 59.16 level, I'm still in the name.
Got it. Yeah. And just pulling a fib on this from the height of the low. So from the all-time high back down to this recent swing low, we could definitely see we're in this 618 rejection zone. And that's what you were saying. Like, if it's going to work, it needs to break through the 618 and it needs to start pushing right away. Because otherwise it's in danger of just a normal fib short here. Definitely some algos will be on this as well. So it's got to work right away, like you said, brother. So awesome. We got the $5 donation right here from Manish Gurbani. Thanks for being genuine and generous with your knowledge. Thank you, brother, for tuning in. Appreciate you joining us on a Sunday night. All right, beautiful. All right, one more here. We have Roku. Okay, let's look at that one. So the Roku, we have the weekly with, basically 4 weeks of red. The only thing that I like on Roku, I can see it sitting on a Fibonacci right off the bat. Let's see which one it is. Boom. So right on the 618, like literally on it right there. So that's what I see. I would be interested in taking it from a Fibonacci perspective. Here we go. On the daily chart, we actually have a beautiful Holy Grail pattern. And let me add this one to the watch list right now because I really like that actually. A nice, beautiful Holy Grail outside, inside. And then the weekly, we've had so much selling for the last 4 weeks that it definitely looking ready to make a bounce here. And if it doesn't, it could actually get really bearish to the downside. So I like it. I'm going to drill down at the open and look for the plays. What do you see on this name, brother?
So, there's a little bit of consolidation happening late last week. However, like you said, it is still a little bit bearish if it doesn't claim that 200 MA ASAP. I'm talking about, early on in the week tomorrow. You can take a look at that 346 and 340 as last support before it starts breaking down into the 330s and lower.
Got it. Yeah, love it. All right. So what we're gonna do now, I'm gonna go to the Twitter. I'm gonna pick two or three because we're running pretty late here, guys. And I know you guys all want to go watch Dragon Ball Z. So here we go. So let me pick two names right here. What I posted earlier right here. 2 or 3. Let's see what we got. Let me pick something different. Let's look at Baba. A lot of people have been talking about Baba, and let's take a look at it. So I actually had this drawn on Baba for a very long time. We had this, it was strictly a Fibonacci look for me. We had this push down, pull back into the 50, and then I was expecting Baba to turn right here near the 272. And as you can see at 181.21, right around here, we did actually pop a bit, but it was not enough. Now Baba is actually sitting on the 50% extension. And I love these extensions for areas to buy in these names if you want to hold them a little bit longer. But you can see anytime we tag some of these extensions, we have a move. But so far, the bulls have not been able to get any momentum. So if I go to the daily right now on Baba, I don't see anything I'm interested in. Weekly, I don't see anything. This is probably the only name in my long-term investment portfolio that I'm down on is Baba, which sucks. So I'm definitely looking to add a little bit more money possibly to this name, or, I'm just going to sit in the loss. That's what you do with sometimes with these longer term positions. You gotta withstand the storm. But what do you see on this name, bro?
I'll be honest with you. I played Baba about 3 to 4 times this year. I lost on Baba 3 to 4 times this year. So it's on my do not trade list. The daily is so ugly, and the majority of these China names, the movement happens overnight. So it's just not my cup of tea personally.
Great. And, there you go, guys. 2 traders putting the red flag on Baba. We are not happy with this name, definitely. So, but I wanted to bring it up because I know a lot of you guys are, following these names. So what else do we have here? Let's look at Neo. Neo, very interesting. We'll go to the weekly. Don't have a pattern from the weekly, but definitely on the daily. I posted this actually an hour ago. There's a nice holy grail on the daily. And Neo, I like Neo because it can fly. And this holy grail is giving me that idea that we can fly tomorrow. Not 100%, but we have a chance because we had a nice outside bar trapping bulls and bears right here. And then we had a nice tight, like, look how small that inside bar is. So definitely looking for the range to expand on Monday. What are your thoughts on this one?
Same exact thoughts. Right here, it's in a little bit of 40 to, what is this, 36 range that it's been chopping in. So, as soon as it takes out one of the sides, I'll go ahead and play. But at the moment, for me, it's just going sideways.
Love it. Yeah. So, looking at that range development, and you can see here, like, basically we were in the square. So when that square starts to have expansion, we can definitely have a huge explosion. And then what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to do one more. Let's do UPST. So this is a good name. I like playing this one. Let's go to the weekly. So there we go. So the last time UPST was on my radar is back when we had this holy grail here, guys. I'm pretty sure I posted this one on the free channel. You could see that. Boom. This is what a holy grail should look like when it works perfectly. We have the break of that inside bar, and then we just go to the moon. So that one pretty clean. But right now, I'm not going to chase at new all-time highs. That's not my cup of tea. Weekly, I don't see anything. Daily, I don't see anything. So right now, I'm just going to put this one on the back burner. We did have a nice inside bar back on the 23rd of August, and I believe that was the last time that I played this name. Otherwise than that, I'm going to be waiting to see what develops. If we can get another setup, I will have it on my radar. And what do you think about this one, brother?
Theoretically, looking at it on the daily chart, it looks great, making all-time highs and closing at the high of the week, all that good stuff. But as you notice that, buyers are starting to step down a bit. So we're climbing up on lower volume as the days and weeks go by. So like you said, I'll see where, it holds after this week. If it can base over, let's see what this level is. If it can base over 214, 215, then we can talk about it. But like you said, the majority of the move these past 2 weeks has happened, and I'll be looking to take a little bit of a pullback on this one.
Got it. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. And there we go, guys. So we hit about, I don't know, 10 to 20 picks there. I just want to say we had a great stream. We had the beginning, the full education, talking about everything under the sun and having some chart requests. I wanna again thank our brother GAA Options for being here. I've learned a lot. I think we all have. So guys, hit me with a 6 right now in the chat. If you enjoyed the stream, hit me with a 6. And like I said, all the donations that are coming through on this stream, my brother GAA, at the end of the year, when you pick that charity that you guys want to contribute to, let me know. And I think we got like 70 or 80 bucks. So I'll be putting another 100 bucks of my cash. So let's bump it up to 200 bucks. So we'll do 200 bucks and we'll contribute to the charity that you choose. I see all the 6s coming in, so I know that people got a lot of value from this. And again, thank you so much for your time. We know you're a very busy guy, and we appreciate you hanging out with us.
Thank you so much, Richard. Again, this was an honor to be here to talk with you and to talk to your viewers. Again, huge honor. And like I said, over my interview for you, I've learned so much for you, and I'm utilizing your inside bars way more often ever since we talked. So thank you.
Boom. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw the 200 moving average on my charts. I'm going to look at it and try to incorporate it. I think it's a great idea. I know 200 moving average is a very powerful one. If there's one that I would, that I would bet some money on, it would be that one. 100%. And then here we go again, just for you guys to check out our brother, GAAoptions.com. Go to the commandments of trading, print this thing out, put it on your desk, put it beside your risk to reward ratio that I tell you guys, 34 out of 100 for 2 to 1. Put it up there, and then check them out here, guys. $25 a month. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You probably spend more on Starbucks than that on a monthly basis. And then let's see if we can get him to the 20K. Let's see where he's at right now. Boom, 20K there. So there we go, bro. 20,003. Congratulations on passing 20K. And I just want to see you keep rising to the top, and we just keep pushing the love and keep going straight up to the moon, bro.
I appreciate that. Love your energy, Richard. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, thanks for being here. Let's get ready to rock and roll for next week. One thing that I want to say here is I always like to close it off with, like a little motivation for the week, a little bit of a quote or something like that. And basically, guys, what I want to focus on this week is having grit. I want to talk about grit. And we started off the stream and we talked about when our brother here got kicked on the ass and he lost a lot of money. It may not be a lot for some people, but for him, it was definitely a lot. For me, that would be a lot as well. We were both going through a similar path of going through university, debts, all that garbage. And it takes grit, guys. It takes grit to achieve your dreams. If you're not gonna get back up when you get kicked on your ass, you're not gonna succeed. Every single person that's been successful, every single person that's achieved greatness has gotten kicked on their ass, and it takes grit to get back up. So wherever you are right now, it doesn't matter. The education is there for you. You have great mentors. You have a great community. Put in the work, show the grit, and you will achieve what you need to. All right. Do you want to add anything to that, brother?
If I add anything, it would just ruin whatever you just said. That was beautiful. I really, really, really appreciate all the tweets that you set out. You put out your option trades, but I really value your life lessons that you tweet out a little bit more, just because they connect not only to the market but to everyday life. So thank you.
Boom. All right. So there we go, guys. I'm going to end the stream here. GAA, brother, stay on for a little bit. I'm going to talk to you right after here to close off. But guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Let's make some green tomorrow.